when the world's too dark of a place to be, and you need an escape from reality. Open up those pages, it's sci-fi or fantasy, whatever genre you please. And join a book club, 'cause you won't read it on your own. Join a book club, so you'll be held accountable. It's just a means to an end, but you're doing it with your friends, so join the book club by DLC.
Good morning, book clubbers! Hope you're having a great week. Hope you're dancing in your seat. I'm Jeff Kanata. I'm here with Lana Bachynski. Hello, Lana.
Hello, good morning. I'm feeling great after what feels like just true poetry in so much of these chapters.
Oh my
Whew.
goodness. We're doing, chapters 11 and 12 this week. For my money, chapter 11, top to bottom, perfection.
Mwah.
I loved chapter 11 so very much. I can't wait to get into all of it with you.
Mm-hmm.
First thing we should do at the top of the show is let folks know we're taking next week off because it's spring break for my children from school, and we're going on a trip. The family, we're going on a little spring break trip, so unable to record. Bear with us. We'll take the week off. We'll come right back the next week with chapters 13 and 14. I just wanted to point that out up top, so we'll miss you. Hopefully you'll miss us, but we'll be back 1 week later. Also, thank you so much for all the folks sending in non-spoiler topics. Oh, it's awesome to see those topics come in. Keep them coming. DLCfeedback@gmail.com is where you send them. You can also post them on the Discord, which is 5x5 DLC on Discord, or as a YouTube comment. But it is so great seeing folks send those in. We have a great non-spoiler topic this week. And as we like to start each episode with something that you want to talk about, this one comes from Josh, who says, Kia ora. Hello from New Zealand. Lana and Jeff, longtime listener, first-time spoiler-free topic suggester. I first read the Malazan series in the span of a year during the 2020 lockdowns and could not put them down. They completely shifted my views on how stories can be told, and in particular reinforced how fantasy can be highly literary. Unfortunately, I enjoyed them so much that they have somewhat dulled my experiences reading some other fantasy novels since, as they have set such a high benchmark. And honestly, that's my fear too, Lana. That is my fear that we've been to the mountaintop. Now what?
Everything else is poisoned.
Anyway, Josh goes on to say, I was almost scared to read them again for the irrational fear that I might not enjoy them as much for some reason. But your energy and enjoyment of the series has made me pick up the series again. And holy crap, everyone is right. The second read through is even better. My question is, are there any novels, movies, games, etc., that hold such a special place in your heart that you worry you might experience them differently now? Or do you find that you usually gain new appreciation for things that have become nostalgic to you? Love the show. You're both excellent ambassadors for this series I hold so dear. Josh from New Zealand. P.S. I've noticed there have been a few Kiwis who have sent in previous topics. I had no idea these books were popular here, but it makes sense that hobbits have great taste in fantasy. Love that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Josh, for sending in your topic. Lana, what do you think? Have you ever had any fears, or are there specific stories or experiences that you're worried will not hold up to a revisit?
I don't know. There's definitely things that I have through time like consistently recommended to people that I haven't been back to in a minute that I'm like, I really wonder what I'm recommending.
Right.
I've been recommending it, but what am I recommending? There's actually one series that I think of. I haven't gone back and read it as an adult person, but I read it through high school or early high school. And I devoured these books. I think there's 6 in the series. I read all of them 6 or 7 times each, like the whole
Wow.
series through. I had it in my bag all the time, and I would just open it and tear through it again and again and again and again. And I think there's so many parts of it that was like cool, weird, violent battle scenes that I liked, and there's some sexy sex in it, and then there was like cool fantasy creatures and things in it. And like, just as like a teen girl, I was like, this book is crazy. But I have no idea if it's a good book. I feel like going back to it though, with like a lot of things that I've like loved through time, I I don't know if I gain a new appreciation, but I mostly feel like I admire how much I've changed, because I
Mm,
think it is fine for a book to have been something that I loved and now is not something that I would necessarily keep as like a touchstone, or I wouldn't necessarily recommend it to people in the same way. But in the
right.
same way, I keep all my cringy drawings from high school that I look at them and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that's what I was drawing and that's what I cared about or whatever it was. It's more about a reflection of me and not on the quality of the book itself. So the
Yeah.
series at the time, I may or may not have mentioned it on this show before, is the Wayfarer Redemption series by Sarah Douglas.
Mm,
And it's the cool character Faraday on the cover, looking cool, looking into a pool, like a woman pondering, lots of strong babes, and it just is. There's something about that series. I haven't read it. I found it in a not that I think it's hard to find, but like a secondhand bookshop, and I have it sitting on my shelf again, taunting me, so that I could go back and see how I've grown or not grown. Who knows? Maybe it'll still hit exactly the heart of what I wanted. But that's probably the one series that I feel like really looms in that kind of way, that I'm like, I don't know how the nostalgia is going to
I
hang, but I
love
think
it.
I do pretty well with it usually. What about you?
That's so good. The first thing that popped into my head in this regard was Isaac Asimov's Foundation novels,
Mm,
which had a huge impact on me as a young kid. It was really like that first science fiction read that
yeah.
catapulted me into reading genre fiction. And my dad gave me the three, uh, Foundation and Empire and Second Foundation, or I don't know the
Hmm.
order, I can't remember. Anyway, they're like old, 19 late 60s copies of them, I think, paperback, and it just blew my mind. I read all the Foundation, read the robot novels by Asimov, and just could not believe that he had two different kind of IPs that he then became made into one universe. Like, he had these robot novels that were kind of like detective stories, and he had these Foundation novels that were these grand, epic, galaxy spanning things. And then he like wrote a book called Robots and Foundation that brought them together, made them
It
one
was the
universe.
Robots Foundation.
It
Wait,
was so
yeah.
rad. It was so rad. But I definitely, read them as a, I don't know, 12, 13-year-old, something like that. Maybe
Mhm.
even younger, 11. But very much, and I know that Asimov is regarded as a outsized figure in the history of science fiction. And so I wasn't worried that it was going to be bad, but I was definitely worried in revisiting them as an adult that I would not hold them in such high regard. But I read them again, I don't know, in my late 20s or early 30s, and liked them again. And then the TV series was coming out, and so I reread them even more recently, and I was like, hey, these are still good. But I definitely had that fear of, was I just like a little kid who'd never read anything like this,
Yeah.
falling in love with it, and it's actually not that good. And there's definitely some pulpy kind of, you know,
Moments.
uh, outdated stuff in it.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think those books are still good. The medium that I think is most susceptible to this is movies. Movies, like, well, is it going to hold up? Hear people say that, is it going to hold up? And there's so many movies from the 80s that I loved as a kid that are just not good. Just
Yeah.
not good movies at all.
Yeah.
But I
But
do love
maybe
that.
it's just because my show that matches the book that I definitely still love and have watched as an adult being Stargate. Going back and looping over that one, my 6th or 7th time now. I have such a high tolerance. I mean, you know me. I've talked on the main DC show about just like digging into. And sorry, anybody out there who's loving it, but like this show Paradise, I have a high tolerance for trash. I'm less worried about the future and what I will enjoy ingesting. I'll just say that.
Fun topic. I'm curious if there are people. I would love for people to put in the comments if they've revisited books and been like, "Oh, not." I went through I think I've talked about this before. I went through a really intense Stephen King phase.
Me too.
In my tweens, like intense, like read everything he wrote at that time. And I suspect I have outgrown. I mean, I've read a couple of Stephen King books as an adult and just been pretty. I've soured a bit on him, sadly. I mean, I think he's still.
I'm deeply enamored with the bizarre things that he puts in there. I think I read, was it Duma-Key recently? Weird. It's a little spooky. It's a little wacky. He's got you're reading a Stephen King book, you're reading a Stephen King book while you're doing it,
Yeah.
It's just, I still love him. Ooh, I still love him.
There's things I love about him. I just don't, the way he writes, which is sort of like I dive in, I don't know where I'm going. Like you can tell a lot of times that he got to a point where it's like he had no idea where he's headed with this. And, the endings often aren't great and it's a bit of a bummer, but.
Did I ever tell you about that? And this is a quick aside and then we could go on. Did I ever tell you about, I feel like I'll always love Stephen King just because, again, he's like that sort of foundational part of like my reading history.
Yeah.
But there's a dude that hired me to do a bunch of illustrations for his book that he claimed was kind of Stephen King-esque.
Oh, you told me about this.
Reading that made me be like, Stephen King, good guy, good author, good guy.
It can get worse. It can get a lot worse. That's
I've
for
sure.
sure.
I've seen the bottom.
That's for sure.
It is deep.
The weird thing for me is that there was a period where I just had read everything that Stephen King had ever written, and then like he would come out with a new novel, and I would read it. And then I stopped, right? And now there's like 24 Stephen King books I've never read, which is a weird thing for me to be like, I don't know. I just, he's very prolific and he keeps going and I stopped. And so there's like most of his oeuvre at this point, I've just not read. It's pretty wild. So I guess I'm not even
I love
qualified
the Dome.
to make a judgment at this point.
The Dome is one of his newer ones, right?
Under the Dome?
Under the Dome?
Oh, that's not new. That's like early 2000s, isn't it? I read that. It's bad. I think.
I loved it.
Oh my God. I did not like it.
Why? We can talk about this.
It's the same thing where it starts awesome. Like 11, 22, 60, what is it? Whatever that one is, 63, 60, the Kennedy assassin. It's like has the best beginning ever. But it's amazing. It's like this concept of time travel, and then it completely craps the bed. It's like, you get like 2/3 of the way through it, and it's just like, this is meandering and awful.
I feel like maybe I don't mean this in any way. I feel like I read it in like 2 days, so it didn't feel like
Under the Dome you're talking about, or
Under the Dome.
Yeah.
And so it just sort of like,
well, you don't have to show off.
It was at the time I was very lonely. I just moved to Irvine. I had no friends, and so maybe I was like, this book will be my friend.
You too were under a dome.
Exactly. Boredom.
Boredom. Yes, amazing. That's why I love you, Lana.
It just like ripped through, and like the villain was like, oh yeah, that's the type of freaky villain that also just exists on the planet. And like, I don't know, I liked it.
Hey, you know what? I'm not going to yuck anybody's yum. I don't want to. Let's just see when that came out, though.
I revel in the yuck. Bring on the yuck.
Okay, that was published in 2009.
What? I read it so late.
Not recent.
Well, shows what I know.
Anyway, all right, we got to get into it. We got lots to discuss of some books we can both agree.
Great topic, though.
Phenomenal. Yeah, great topic. Thank you, Josh. Chapters 11 and 12. Let's start. Spoilers starting now. Chapter 11. We start with another just wonderful Crup narration, setting the stage. I'm absolutely enamored with these Crup bird's eye view of the city. And this one, he's really talking about, like, making some observations about art and child labor, comparing art to child labor.
Mm-hmm.
I know this is one of your
Sections.
polls, but I just wanted to, I don't know if this line is in your poll, but there's a beautiful moment where he's talking about kids and he just has an aside where he's like, interrupting to wipe its nose,
Yeah.
and I just like, oh, what a little detail to just remind you these are young kids. But beautiful stuff, and I'm sure we'll circle back to it at the end of the episode. But I think this novel, we'll see how the second half goes, because we're about halfway, I think, through. But right now threatens to be top of the heap for me of Malazan books.
Oh, it's getting up there, baby.
It's pretty great. And I think the sort of Crup as narrator aspect of it is a big part for me. Why?
And even just Crup, I mean, we see more of him later. That's like the continued intrigue of this guy.
Yeah.
Just love him. Just love him.
Just love him. Yes, but this notion of, of kids are just innate artists, and forcing them to work destroys that.
Yeah.
And anybody who would do that is a monster. It's just a lovely observation.
Mm-hmm.
Then, speaking of which, we head over to Lil Harlo. Oh, Lil Harlo.
Lil Harlo doing
He's trying
his best.
He's doing his best. You're right. He's trying to make good on his promise to get a splint, figuring out what splint is.
Yeah. I always thought he's like getting splints. I guess that's a thing.
Don't know what they are, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah. Like I couldn't get any splints, but I did just get you new legs. Sorry.
Yeah.
Or splints. I don't know. Here's some legs, I think.
Well, he figures out that they need to have, two sticks on either side. Can't get sticks. Sticks are, precious. Can't get sticks.
All the wood that was brought into the mine is there for mining purposes only.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm going to get in trouble if I steal sticks. What can I steal? Well, there is a bone pit. I can go to the bone pit. Another absolutely exquisite little detail, and Erikson is just the master at that. And people talk about world building, and world building can work on a scale of like, oh, the hierarchy and the histories and and obviously Erikson does that. But for me, the true magic, the true spice of world building is the little details that make things feel so real and true. And one of those here is that all these women who have given up their kids to be child labor because they can't support their kids because they're so poor, can't let go. And so they stand on the edge of the quarry and just make sure they're okay.
Yeah.
Just heart-wrenching and beautiful, and just this kind of throwaway little line, but it's one of those things that just infuses the world to me with so much truth and texture,
Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful stuff. Anyway, he gets them bones, the big ones.
Big old bones.
Brings him down to Divad and is like, it's splints. And he's like, legs, as you said.
I love that he's like, splints. He's like, oh, kiddo, these are definitely not splints. And Harlow's like, oh, gee, I'm sorry. I really did my best, little guy. And he's like, no, you misunderstand. You're doing great. You're doing great.
It's awesome how he's just like, I can just pop these right in and they can be doing.
I guess that's how it works. I also love something that I think I was like, wait, how did this happen? But he's like, I guess I got caught in the ritual. He didn't intentionally do it. He's like, so I think this will just work but it's like the magic of his special tools allows him to do that. But otherwise, I guess, because he said I need my special tools to do blah, 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 blah with these bones. So to me, I'm like, it's not just that like one Talanomas can like Jack Skellington like pop its skull off and switch heads with somebody else or something like that.
Well, but correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't we see Tool do that? Something similar where he was just like, hey, I can fix my bones with other bones.
Oh yeah,
Am I
no, you're right.
misremembering that?
No, you're probably not.
Yeah. Anyway, it's cool. He's like,
Yep.
yeah, I'll make this work. And Harlow's like, well, I guess can I come back, sir? And he's like, wow, maybe I'll visit you with my new legs, magic legs.
Yeah. And he's like, I better go because I am going to get in so much trouble. He's like, well, then you absolutely better go. I just love that he's not like, no, stay with me. You know, he's got a sense of like, okay, there's baddies up there, but this is a goodie and we're going to see what happens.
Yep. Also, we get this detail that there's it was a building. There's like a buried building that he was climbing through. That even was a mystery to Raist, the tyrant.
Mm-hmm.
It was interesting.
And the fact that he's like, I should go in there. And he's like, don't go in there. We already looked at it. We don't know what it is.
Not good.
You're going to get lost. Get out of there.
Don't do it, kid. Yeah. But little Harlo and his little buddy.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling his little buddy's going to wreak some havoc. I have a feeling it's going to be bad. We'll see.
I have a feeling this mining operations days are numbered.
That's right. You're doing what to kids? Here we go. That's my prediction. Scorch and Lef is our next scene. Again, just wonderful. The knucklehead convo that they're having with each other. And they're standing at the gate. They're doing their job, gate guards. And up walk the two most ridiculous dudes we've ever met. And we've met some ridiculous people in this series.
We've met some ridiculous people. And then these two dudes. If you are earning Scorch and Lef's like side eye, I feel like you standing out. You standing out.
I mean, Mad Run, Bad Run. Top tier Erikson name. I'm saying I'm top tier Malazan name. That's going up there with Ersto Hubutt for me. Mad Run, Bad Run. Mm-hmm. I love that. And Lazan Door, just dressed like absolute fops. I mean, delightful.
Is it Scorch who's like, oh, you're a jester? Do you do juggling? Do you do clowning? He just starts like listing jester stuff at him. And he's like, what? No. And he's like, juggling is like way harder than you think, bro. Try it.
He's like, I tried it. I got up to 2.
Weeks. Took weeks.
So funny. That's so funny. It's
Scorch?
like, you're not juggling, my friend. If you got to 2.
Yeah.
Very funny. I mean, these scenes are just delightful. But yes, these two ridiculous goobers walk up, dressed like one dressed like a jester, another with a gold infused tattoo on his bald head.
Mm-hmm.
Just hilarious. And we find out that they're former Segula?
Yeah.
Which is like completely antithetical to what I thought the Segula were all about, which is
everything about their personality.
Yeah.
Even, I mean, immediately the fact that they talk, you're like,
right. Yeah.
Okay. But then they talk and they're like, trust us. Everything's fine. It's got like that, like quick talker sort of salesman edge. We're like, we're here to see Lady, whatever her name is.
Verata.
Verata. We're here to see Lady Verata. Trust us. She definitely wants to see us. We're not gonna hurt you. And they're like, sure. And I just love the negotiation of like Lef goes to check with the other security guards on like the council basically for Lady Verata, who they've never met, and Scorch negotiates having both crossbows, which is just, they're 10 feet away, and like there's no world where you fire one crossbow, let alone 2 crossbows at somebody 10 feet away. A crossbow is so huge with one bolt.
Just like,
ready to go.
So funny.
Won't even hoist it over in time to get them. Ridiculous.
They go and get Studlock.
Yes.
And we find out that Madrun and Lazan were buried under a mountain, which I think is the mountain that was collapsed when Caladan Brood smashed the hammer.
when he was like, Crup, shut up, dog. Just casually collapsed a mountain with people in it.
Yep. And then, Stidlock's like, all right, you guys are going to be compound guards. Scorch and Left are like, is that better than gate guards?
They're like,
Compound guard.
if I had known about a compound guard, I would have negotiated a compound guard. Easy money. But I didn't know, and so it's not on me.
So funny. Then we pop over to Torvald, who is in marital bliss, I want to say.
I had a hard time parsing the energy of this scene. Is she mad that he's a job? She's mad that he's working with Scorch and Left.
Scorch and Left. It's that.
It's just Scorch and Left.
100% Scorch and Left. It's you're running with your drinking buddies again, you moron.
At your quote-unquote job.
This is one of my polls because I absolutely love and also relate to it. He's like, everything's so great. It's so great. And she's just so mad about this one thing. But I'm doing so many other things right. Why is she mad at me?
And she's mad and she looks at me and, ooh, she's pretty, but ooh, she angry.
She angry. Also, she hasn't said anything yet, but she will. Amazing. Anyway, so then Torvald shows up at the estate. He's the captain, and he recognizes Studlock as Studious Lock, the landless of One-Eye Cat.
Which
Old Studious.
I don't know if we've seen a bunch of One-Eye Cat epigraphs through the history, but I know the one at the beginning of this chapter was, and it was very useful.
Indeed. It turns out old Studious, not the greatest guy. Torvald recognizes him as a blood drinker, bile spitter, and poisoner.
Not great.
And I love this scene too, where Torvald can't help himself but say what he knows, and he's like, I really shouldn't have said any of that stuff. It's like, but I recognize you guys aren't you the famous guys that drove the Malazan fist out of the, and they're like, what? He's like, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, that's just what I heard. This lies I heard once at a bar or something.
So good. So Madrun and Lazan are also, notorious. And Torvald immediately thinks bad news for old lady Verata, who I'm ostensibly supposed to protect. Yes, exactly. So he's like, I got to let her know. I got to sneak into her room and let her know.
Well, I also just love that he was like, I've got to tell her, but maybe that means I got to do thief stuff to get there. And his just calculations of I can do this. I can do it so quietly. And if I just did it, I can what? I'm going to hop out onto the roof. Who's going to stop me? Huh? Yeah. No, it's fine. This is actually part of my job. I could be surveying the security entrances. He's justifying sneaking around into a place he's not supposed to be by being like, it's actually part of my job to be up here. I'm
breaking in to find out how easy it is to break in.
Obviously.
I'm white hatting this.
Undercover bossing it.
That's right. I'm undercover boss. He overhears them all, talking some mysterious. It sounds like they're up to no good. And they're throwing the dice, these they're throwing the bones. Dice. Yeah.
That's the same kind of bones I imagine Featherwitch is scrying with or whatever. But also he overhears them, Studlock being like, where are your friggin' masks? And they're like, we don't want to wear the masks, which I think is an interesting little detail.
Yeah.
They clearly seem like they One-Eye Cat or whatever, if they're part of that as well. Seems like a slightly different Segula zone.
Yeah. It's a little
they
more
are
casual.
Or they're just fully at odds with it.
Yeah.
But I love that Studlock's like, go make some more. There's a very interesting, very intriguing dynamic between these
100%. Anyway, he jumps from the roof to the balcony of Lady Verata's room, sneaks in, and she's sitting there like, hey, buddy, did you notice that I could direct line of sight from where you could jump, where you jump from? And did you notice
every window in this building? It's literally, not.
I just love the idea of her sitting in her room like, oh, look, there's my captain of the guard jumping toward my room.
And I love that she's like, I see you're testing the security, right?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah. And also, could I? And she's like, get some wine. And he's like, okay. And she's like, now get out. And he doesn't say anything he wants. He's just, yes, ma'am. Like takes a shot and leaves, basically.
Well, he does kind of give her some sort of sense that maybe she should keep an eye on Madrun and Malazan, I think.
Yes. Well, I guess he doesn't say anything that makes her. She seems well in control of the situation, such that it's a strange and impotent effort by him to try and do everything that he's done.
Very funny. But she does tell him, like, hey, aren't you a nom? And he's like, I'm a nom nom nom. And she says, well, you should hang out with your family. He's like, I don't hang out with my family anymore. And she's like, you should really nom nom nom, And he's like, well, I'll think about it.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Great.
So I feel like this is going to be the impetus for Rallick and Torvald to reconnect.
He's like, oh, I need that career growth.
Yeah.
I'm looking for some internal mobility.
He has an office that is so small that he has to climb over his desk to get to his chair.
So silly. I like the fact that he has like an office. I mean, I guess that makes sense, but there's something about it that feels like so contemporary to be like, I'll be in my office.
And I just, it's like Joe versus the volcano, or where, Joe works on the 3.5 floor or whatever it is when he has to, it's just, everything is so awful. Like I imagine this room so small that the desk is just wedged in the door and he has to climb over the front. It's great. Then we have a quick moment where Lef is like, hey, did you know that Torvald's wife hates us? And I think she's a witch. And I think she's probably cursing Torvald. And Krup, as the narrator, is like, you don't want to hear these guys anymore. Let's move on. Let's move on. It's so great.
Yeah. Because his stomach is upset. That he like runs up and he's like feeling bad because he ate the food too quickly and it's making his little tum-tum upset.
Oh man. This is another one of my pulls for the end of the show, but this whole section where he's just walking down the street, just like, well, you can't tell by the way I eat a pastry. I love this town.
Oh, it's so good.
It's so great. Just looking at people eating stuff, looking at other people, just walking down the street, just owning Darujistan,
Yeah, he's the guy, baby.
Yeah.
He's the guy, and it feels like barely any people know he's the guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, yo, he's that guy. Guy. But he's the guy, baby.
The perfect disguise.
Yeah.
He shows up at Baruch's house and basically, they just kind of check in and he's like, hey, there's a lot of stuff going on. There's this dude killing people in the streets. There's this other guy who's purchased the factories, who's, doing stuff. Is it the same thing? Is the wealthy man raising the prices and making people starve an act of violence in the same way as somebody who just beat someone to death, which I thought was very apropos for our times.
Yeah. I almost pulled that whole chunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very powerful POV, of like, hey, these are both acts of violence. Is one worse than the other? And Baruch is like, I don't know. You can make an excuse for the rich guy doing it. There's other factors. It's like, well, where's the morality, Mm-hmm. And I think that is a question that is very pertinent right now.
Very much so.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, this scene sort of serves to show Crup's continued power, that we know he's this powerful little weirdo.
Yeah.
But even the scene where he's sort of narrating him going through the town and being like, ugh, get these wards out of here. It's so casual. And then Baruch's like, oh my God, I put so many wards.
Yeah. It's
I
I doubled from last time you were here.
Yeah. And this question of his sleeves. As he's going through the town, there's this implication that he's just stealing things. He's got these big sleeves because he's sleight of handing all the things from the different shops as he's walking by. But then he gets to Baruch's and he's like, do you mind if I get some wine? And Baruch's like, sure. Has he gone past the cellar and stolen this? Or does he have special little warrens in there that he's yoinking from?
Yeah. Well, I love how he pulls the wine bottle out and it's already uncorked. Like,
exactly.
how could it possibly be not creating a mess in there? It's just lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. Little
Totally.
bits of intrigue and how powerful Krup is.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I'm sure we've talked about it before. Krup is like some kind of, he's like the god of indulgence or whatever, right? He must be.
I would not be surprised if we find out he is ascended. I mean, all that stuff where he was from book 2, I want to say, where he was, inside people's dreams, or maybe was it book 3? It was with the Mabe, right?
Yeah. And he was like helping people get out of the city, and he was like I forget his name, like the serpent or the raven or
the eel.
The eel.
Yeah.
Which maybe the smoked eel that he accidentally pulled out of his sleeves was a little shout out to his
good
name
call.
there.
Yeah.
And then I mean, wasn't it like Krull and whoever and Crup also like thumbs up from me, guys? Like I don't think he's
the moment that we just referenced where Caladan Brood smacked the hammer down. Wasn't Krup like standing in it and being like, I'm fine. Remember?
Krup was standing. He was standing like next to it because Caladan didn't hit him with the hammer. He slammed it down.
He hit the ground and everything collapsed, and he's just like, no, not me.
Yeah.
He's powerful.
Powerful.
All right, then we have this lovely moment where Berthal and Char are just like fixing up the old bakery into a forge.
Yeah.
It feels so contemporary and relatable, where it's like, well,
we bought a bakery.
Yeah. We're gonna fix this place up. I can see the forge over there, and that's where the anvil's gonna go. I got the secondhand anvil. I'm gonna put it right here. It's gonna be great.
Looking at the oven and realizing they have like stones that will like take the heat of a forge instead of cupcakes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very The Bear, where they're like turning the deli into a high-end restaurant.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, the Smithy Guild not too happy about that. And this woman comes in with a bunch of thugs, and she's like, "Yeah, see, we don't like your kind of doing stuff in here.
Looks like you got a lot of new stuff in here.
Yeah,
would hate for something to happen to it.
Who said you could make a smithy in here?" Mallet is there, and he walks over and pulls out a cusser. Is like, this place go boom if you do anything to us. There's all this gas, all these go boom. This felt very like a scene out of Sopranos.
Yeah. Well, I love that they're like, we're fixing it up, but we did unhook all of the piping so that if you hit any of these equipments, it will explode and take out half of Dredgerstan with it.
Yeah.
And they're like, we'll just have to beat you up. And he's like, but what if I'm holding this bomb? That's what I thought. Goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah. He's holding a thermal detonator.
Yeah.
And it's great. And so they leave, and Berthal's like, well, that's not the last we've seen of them. We got to get you some armor, Char. We got to get ready because, they'll be back. They'll be back. And then we have another little Krup moment where he's, he pulls back and give us this bird's eye view of the city and all its machinations. Gaz leaving Thordy to go kill someone again. Solara and Duiker like walking down the street arm in arm like they're on a date, and Duiker being like, I don't understand why she's treating me like this. I'm just an old historian.
Yeah.
Chalice and Crocus walking through the streets not knowing how close they really are to each other. Rallic Nom talking to the informant, getting a bunch of information. And most interesting of all from my POV, Stani and Murillo. Stani really opening up.
Yeah.
And he's just brushing her hair back from her face,
Yeah. I love that they kind of, I love that Steve has sort of condensed the quickness of this relationship into the start where Stani's like, don't try and charm me, mister. I'm uncharmable.
Yeah.
And then
Murillo being like, I'm out the charming game. I don't charm anymore.
And like, there's a rom-com happening just off screen.
It's so true.
A whole plot of a rom-com has happened just off screen. And now they're at the part where she's finally able to be vulnerable with somebody. It's beautiful.
It's lovely. Krup's just giving us the cliff notes of the rom-com. And he's like, you can fill in the rest. You get it.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, you're so right. But then, of course, that ends with 36 assassins getting ready on the rooftops. And then we launch into just this incredible sequence of scene after scene after scene of, what did Erikson describe it as? Throwing the clay onto the statue from different angles so that it eventually takes shape.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect example of that with these, I don't know, a dozen scenes more of back and forth from different characters showing one of the most intense, awesome sequences. I don't know if you want to step through it exactly, but it is, the Bridgeburners at Krull's bar.
Mm-hmm. And these are the assassins that are sent from that, I forget his name.
I forget his name
the
too.
Cave dweller in mom's basement being like, wah, Malazans, wah.
Yeah.
Has sent to sort of finish what he tried to start in chapter 1.
That's right. So we have, blending in as she does in the corner, just watching people. We have Antsy, who's freaking out about this 2-headed rat going down to talk to the line cooks in the kitchen. We have Blue Pearl going back down to the cellar where he's kind of found this weird
blood barrel.
Yeah.
He's just like opening up casks and being like, vinegar next.
Yeah.
Vinegar next. I also love that he's like, can't drink more than a couple mouthfuls of the vinegar ones. And I'm like, I think you only need one to know it's vinegar.
It's you know what? Not 100% sure. Let's see. Maybe deeper in it gets better.
Yeah.
Not something I would do.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that, obviously Krull's bar used to be a temple. That's the site. And so there's kind of this weird crypt underneath where he's finding these barrels, but there's also that ghost guy who keeps like, hey, are you my friend? And he's like, still not, dude. Still not.
It's been so long, dog. You've been out of the game. I also love there's the description of what the different areas are. It's where the seating for the bar is sort of a lower level where the congregation would sit. And it sort of describes how they've changed the temple into a bar through this as well. So you can sort of picture some interior religious site looking space through the fight. And I really like that about it.
Which is so, when you think about it, it's so sacrilegious, right? We turn this into a bar. It's just woof. And I also love the assassin's plan, which is kind of rad. They've got these 5 guys pretending to be drunks that go in and they sit down and they're inside, and then they have the guys on the outside, and then they have the one dude who actually paid to stay in a room, and he
let more dudes in through the window.
Yeah, digs out the bars from the window to let other dudes in. This is Ocean's 11, baby. This is a serious planned takedown of this building from all sides.
Yeah. There's another, I feel like there's another scene in a book like this where we're in the POV of the assassin troop and cheering them on,
Totally. Yeah. These guys are serious. They sent a couple of dumb assassins to try it the first time. Didn't work. And then they clearly went, okay, we got to be serious. These guys are not to be trifled with. Let's go. So, and the way this all plays out from all the different POVs where I think it's Picker who's like, those 5 drunks, the way they're talking, it just doesn't sound authentic. There's something, my spider sense is tingling. I don't get the right vibe from them. What's going on? Mallet comes in. He's like, hey, I'm worried about Barathol and Char. And then it just sort of like ramps up. Ansi goes down to get the rat. Blue Pearl's coming up with the barrel, and then arrows or crossbow bolts, I guess it is.
Yeah, the quarrels
start flying. And the way it starts, where they take out the bartender, who's not involved at all. They take out the 15-year-old serving girl.
Yeah. And it just, I mean, that itself just sort of sets the stage for what they're here. They don't care about finding the Malazan specifically. They're like, you're here. You were here at the wrong time, baby. This is the wrong bar to have associated yourself with.
We're wiping out everybody here.
Yeah.
You know? And this sequence just is so thrilling and so fun. Blend, because nobody sees her, jumps up first, stab, slicing throats, cutting arteries, cutting dudes down. She's
like basically holding at the door where like people are sort of pouring in, and she's dismantling them, but also, you know, continues to cut away from her in like immediate danger with a question mark.
Well, she takes a crossbow bolt to the arm and then can't feel the arm.
Yeah.
Which was like, I was like, is the arm still there?
Yeah.
is it gone? And then, you know, another one shoots. I imagine this. I don't know if you've seen the old Patrick Swayze Roadhouse. But again, this actually very much pertains to the non-spoiler topic. A movie I don't know if it completely holds up. A movie from the 80s may not stand the test of time. Certainly is still something. I'll tell you what.
That's something. A film. That's a film, all right.
Yeah. Anyway, there's that same kind of situation where like guys enter Roadhouse to take down Patrick Swayze, and they're gonna mess up anybody that stands in their way. And the layout of that, where there's like the elevated office that like looks out over the bar. That's totally what I'm imagining. And Picker and Mallet are up there, and the crossbow bolt crashes through that window and barely misses Mallet's head, and
barely misses Picker. Picker doesn't get hit
Picker,
either.
Yeah. But Mallet also sees it. He goes into the hallway, and then he just gets pummeled. Quarrel hits his stomach, rips through his throat. He falls down, and I'm like, oh no, not Mallet. And he's like, I reach out for Hyde Denewel, and I'm like, dude, can he heal himself as he's dying?
Awesome.
Amazing.
And then I think it's that same thing. He reaches out to Hyde Denewel. He sees somebody like raising a dagger to like end it. And he's like, Whiskey Jack kicked down the door. Oh. So like, I'm coming to hang out with my buddy. Yeah. What a last sort of beat there.
And then we briefly get that assassin's POV where he's like, I don't understand why this dude's smiling. I just murdered him.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Mallet got that little moment to like reunite with his buddies. Oh, but dude, the deaths come hot and heavy. I'm like, oh, Erikson's murdering some Bridgeburners, baby.
Yeah.
Blue Pearl comes up holding the cask. A thing like pins his hand to the cask.
He's to drop the barrel, and then his hand's still pinned to it, so it yanks him to the ground.
Yeah. Gets stabbed in the face. Blue Pearl's dead. I was like, oh, these characters I like. Ansi hears the battle down, in the kitchen, comes up, and then Ansi, who is just a punchline, like the joke goofball who's always scared of everything and always freaking out, and everybody's kind of making fun of. We realize, Ansi's a Bridgeburner.
Ansi's a Bridgeburner, but it's very resonant that he's like, I need a shield. Whereas the Ansi guy would like look to protect himself. But
so
that's
great.
like
getting the cauldron pot lid.
But that's also like, that's like his weapon of choice. This is how he sort of would function in battle. It's like this is how he wants to go, and he needs it. It's smart, especially when there's a crossbow bolts flying around. Yeah, even a pot lid's better than just being like, I'll try and get to you before you shoot me.
But dude, that like Ansi and Picker have this unspoken like, let's do it. He jumps up, crossbow bolts hit the pot, the pot lid, and that exposes the shooters, and Picker takes them out. Like just.
Well, the thing about the Bridgeburners is they've all still got a couple explosives hidden away. So they've got sharpers. So they're not fully just like using a custer to take down the whole building, but they are eviscerating these people from a distance in AoE fashion.
Oh, dude, just blowing S up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such an incredible sequence, the way it all plays out, how we're getting it from different angles and different corners of the bar. And it's just like this assault on this place and how they fight back and what they do and who it works for and who it doesn't. And there's real cost to this. It was just so thrilling to read. And then, of course, the real tide turner. Yes, you're right. There's Granados, blowing dudes up, but Berthal and Char show up, and Char just barrels in and starts picking dudes up and smashing them on the ground. And it's so harrowing that, he's like in this rage, but crying the whole time. This sort of childlike innocence that Char has. And they finally defeat the last one, and he's wet himself, and Berthal just goes over and gives him a hug. And it's
the only way to calm him down. That sort of take on like a barbarian kind of fighting style of like get enraged and then this happens.
Yeah.
What a beautiful twist on that. And with tied in with that sadness of like, oh, this person who clearly is just so sweet and is always described as like smiling and just being this like big lovable guy, being now this sort of like beat of rage, where Berthal even I think primes him for that as they're walking up. He's like, things are bad. Do you remember with like the blood and whatever else? We had like a little scene with them, I think, as they were leaving the bakery. He's like, you better prep yourself for that. Now let's go on our way. So even he's already talked with Char about it. He knows that there's a possibility here. Yeah. And so this is like a familiar story to him and his relationship, obviously. But it's a beautiful, sad twist. And it's only beautiful because it's like, oh, it's coming to Blen's rescue. Blen was sitting there with her arm numb, like basically the cartilage pin from the crossbow bolt, her nerves all pinned, and she's like, it'll be better if I rip this out. And she instantly passes out at the door. And then as she comes to,
well, she says, it's okay. I just need some healing. Mallet will hook me up. And Picker's like, no, not Mallet.
Yeah.
And
the ease of which they admit that's, I think, an interesting thread to all of them being soldiers. They're so familiar with their comrades dying that even when they are so far from it, like they're Bridgeburners, like once a Bridgeburner, always a Bridgeburner, but they definitely aren't Malazan soldiers anymore. They're literally just running this friggin' bar. Yeah. But still the
instincts are there.
The instincts are there, and the ease, not that it's like in an easy situation for them to being like, now it's gone now.
It's that familiarity with
accepting that, having to accept that.
Yes. The other thing I think is, from a structural sort of narrative perspective, is that the pieces that Erikson takes off the board feel like the most powerful pieces. Mallet and Blue Pearl are the casualties, the squad mage and the healer. It's like those are the two most important pieces. Yeah. Which I think was interesting, that it's like those are the ones that also we find out that Fisher the Bard pieced out hard.
He pieced out, but it also implied that he did some damage before he left. If I read it correctly. They were like, oh yeah, and who took care of these guys? And they're like, well, where'd the Bard go? Yeah. There was like that question of who killed this group of people, and also where's that guy?
Yeah. Incredible sequence. They end by realizing the Assassin's Guild did this. People outside are not even rubbernecking because they like know what happened. This was a hit. We're not going to look at it. It's a hit. And so they're like, you know what? They made a mistake though. You can't leave Bridgeburners alive, baby.
Woo!
Yeah. So good. All right. Then we hop over to Crocus, who's unaware any of this is happening. He's just sort of mopily walking down the street, shows up at a mortuary shop.
Yeah.
It's like, where's the saddest place I can go? Oh, the tombstone store.
Wow. They even have tombstones saying the death of love. Imagine that. I'm like,
I
oh yeah,
feel
I've met that guy before. Let me tell you, I've met that guy before.
Yeah.
It's not cute.
Love, last year to present. R.I.P.
R.I.P.
It's actually kind of lovely where he's like, man, I don't know how does love even grow in such death all around. Everything leads to death. Everything leads to love. And then he hears crocus, young hand, and he's like, what? And it's chalice.
What you say? His moment.
Yeah,
Chalice, darl. And then like the little bit where he's like, I should have known this was gonna be bad when she didn't even correct me that was not her name anymore.
Yeah.
Like, you gonna get in trouble.
Yeah. Oh, it's on. It's on.
And
But
also, the disrespect to Solara, this man.
I know. Well, not just Solara. Yeah, Solara. And also Apsalar.
Apsalara.
Apsalara. Yeah. I think Solara's fine with it. She knows what's up.
She's sad.
She's not under any pretense,
because she's low self-esteem. She likes this guy. But she's like, it's fine. No, he'll never like me anyway. It's sad.
It is sad. You're right.
But also, girl, you deserve better. There's a Barathol out there waiting for you.
Yeah. But doesn't Barathol love Solara? Maybe that's where that's headed,
I hope so. Better be.
Anyway, chapter 11, that's how it ends. Just a banger from top to bottom. Just a banger. Scene after scene after scene. Oh, I love the Darujhistan stuff so much. Chapter 12, we pivot away from Darujhistan. We're back to, actually, we're in a, who knows when, long ago, flashback, where the three brothers, Anamander, Andarist, and Silchus Ruin, I like how Mother Dark is like, Anamander, Andarist, Silchus Ruin. those are my sons. What Anne name are you going to come up with this one? Ruin.
Anyway. Ruan.
Ruan. There you go. Anyway, so this was a bit of a confusing flashback for me.
Yeah.
A lot of new names thrown at us. Hishtullah, Manal. Lots of stuff happening that I'm not even sure we're supposed to parse.
It's also just like, and it's just thinking thoughts about life.
It's like the old times back when the brothers, before they betrayed each other.
Well, oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say this is like during the Carcanis Civil War too. So the city is literally burning during this scene.
And so they're like, we're gonna go have a meeting, and somebody's like, an Endist, go watch. And then he shows up, and they're like, you're here. That's fine. We'll still have our meeting. And he just sits there and observes. Like, what a strange, there's like strangeness about it, a ritual feeling to it. And it just, the big thing to me is it adds that question mark of, excuse me, how much is everything planned? Is this all still the plan of what they were doing? And Andarist sort of knew he was sacrificing himself to this space, and like it all just makes it feel like
just is like, until I betray you, and it's like, whoa. Like they knew, like you're saying, they knew,
and he felt bad about it. He's like shedding a little tear to be like, I'm gonna come get my brother.
Yeah,
wacky. Yeah, I didn't really know what to make of it other than like Enda's been around a long time.
Yep.
And he knows some stuff.
Yeah. And then we move back to the present where he's sitting around the campfire still with Caladan Brood. And they kind of have this philosophical discussion also about, breathing into a plant. We understand photosynthesis. We understand that plants drink CO2, I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. I love how the little moments in Malazan where science pokes its head up, it's like we're grokking some of this science.
And it's just, I feel like like there's lots of moments of darkness, but those moments where people are still looking at things and being like, isn't this hopeful? Isn't it beautiful that I was like, the way that I am is what feeds this, and the way this is what feeds me, is just like, just pontifications on the beauty of nature.
Circle of life.
Yeah.
I think the main takeaway here, though, is that Endist, I believe, says, or Caladan says, one of them says that the Jagged and the Forkful of Sail are still warring against each other far away, and that Anamander doesn't know about that. And if he did know about it, he would intervene.
Yeah. Well,
so that feels kind of important. I don't know.
And I just love that he's like, nobody's warring for that long.
Yeah.
He's like you'd be surprised.
Yeah. All right. And then Crone shows up and is like, Endist, let's go. And he's like, all right. Also, give me food.
Also, you ate everything? It's like as though you didn't even know I was going to come here with a message, you jerks.
Yeah. And then we have this pretty awesome scene. Erikson's done this a couple of times, and I love the magic trick of it, where he starts in one POV and then just sort of seamlessly transitions to another POV. So we have this POV of Harok, one of the conspirators, one of the conspirators against the Tistandi, who's just sort of like, walking through, and then the Sir Domen just beheads him. And then we sort of seamlessly are in Sir Domen's POV, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah, I agree. And also, quick apologies. Somebody just started gardening, so sorry anybody listening.
I can't hear it.
Oh, okay, great.
Maybe other people can.
Feels loud, but sorry, everyone.
Anyway, so Sir Domen is like, hey, I did it. I cut down the last conspirator. I'm not a great person. The only reason that I haven't killed myself is because I have this purpose to like stamp out these other people. And there's no redemption for me. I'm a bad person who did bad things in a bad war.
And now all I can do is do bad things to other bad people.
Yeah.
To try and make up for it, even though I know I never will.
Right. Then we pop over to Salind, who's also having a crisis of faith. She is thinking about the Redeemer and is like, you know what? This whole Redeemer cult thing, maybe it was a bad idea. Maybe we shouldn't have even started this. Maybe I should have started my own church that I could have led myself. I would probably be corrupted too. Everybody gets corrupted. The Redeemer is just giving people forgiveness and redemption without getting anything in return. That's not right. Something wrong with the Redeemer.
It's interesting because it seems like she's sort of coming around to Sir Domen's way of thinking in a way, like slightly different, because Sir Domen's all about like, I am the one who doesn't deserve anything. Right. But he's also very much like, what the hell, man? You can't just be redeeming everybody. We'll feel guilty about it. And she's kind of also being like, it seems crazy that he redeems everybody. And there's like a different way that she also is feeling like things aren't quite right.
Well, and she's like, what's up with that Sir Domen guy? He the Redeemer accepts everybody's pain from the word go. All he had to do was show up at the barrow once. But he goes there every day. What's that about? Something that seems suspicious from her POV. And as she's walking out, she gets grabbed by the hair by Gradathan, and he forces some Kellic into her mouth.
Gross.
Monk rat and Gradathan, yeah.
Gross. Yeah, feels gross. Gross and violent. It's like, it's gross and violent to be like assaulted and attacked and force-fed anything, but knowing how disgusting the Kellic is and knowing how sort of gnarly everything is, it's just makes it extra gross.
Well, their warped ideology is that everybody is better on Kellic, right? This is the evolved state of consciousness, is to be, on Kellic. And so, their whole thing is like, get more Kellic and more people. So then we head over to Spinock, who realizes that Salind has left the Temple of Dark, and he's all of a sudden, it seemed like to me pretty all of a sudden. I don't know if you were picking up on his love feelings, but it felt pretty abrupt that he's like, I love her.
And pretty abrupt that everybody's like, everybody knows she loves you. I'm like, didn't they only talk once?
No. That's Sir Domen is like, the other high priestess loves you. And he's like, oh, that's not the one I'm talking about. I'm in love with this other one. It's another of those, like the two priestesses.
Oh my
It's that
God,
other
these priestesses, bro.
I know. But he's like, I'm in love, Sir Domen. Which, by the way, Spinock is like, I got to talk to my pal, Sir Domen. And Sir Domen walks in covered in blood and smelling of death. And he's like, oh,
ooh,
it's bad time to tell you I'm in love.
I feel like I shouldn't look him in the eye because I feel like my opinion will be irrevocably changed. I can still smell him, something fierce, but let's just slam a gallon of beer.
Yeah.
And then
let's
we'll
talk
look
about
at each
me.
other.
Let's talk about what I'm into right now, which is this girl. And Sir Domen is like, oh, finally you realize this girl is super into you. And Spinock is like, oh, no, not that one. Not that one. And Sir Domen's like, you idiot.
Okay. I'm so glad that because that was the part that shook me up. I feel like I didn't see it coming that he felt that way about
Salind.
Salind.
Yeah.
But
Salind,
I feel less weird about it now when it was like, and she loves you too, dude. Because I was like, what? Like him having like generated feelings for this woman that he knows is out there. They're all kind of like pseudo-religious people in this space. They all have like their gods and their lords and whatever. So being like a growing respect and admiration that is like a weird parasocial love thing, I can sort of get behind that more. But the also return feelings after she's literally running away through the mud, I was like, this doesn't make any sense. So
no,
I feel like that's settled my mind about this scene by a mile.
It's the other one that he sleeps with that like has, sex as a sort of religious
thing
experience.
It's like maybe just sleeping with her.
And he always like, polishes his sword after that. And she's like, oh, I guess you're super into your sword. She's the one that's pining for him. The Salind, who's I suspect very chaste and very, buttoned down and is more, dealing with this crisis of faith and the Redeemer and all that stuff. For some reason, he's into her.
Okay. And this all makes so much more sense now.
I think we're leading to because what's about to happen is she attacks Sir Domen, and I think we're gonna have a situation where Spinock is like, the girl I liked attacked my best friend. I think that's gonna be his crisis.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Yeah, so Sir Domen is like, you moron. I realize that now you like that other girl. I'm out of here. I'm pissed. And he leaves.
But is that, and then I thought that he was like, oh, all of this is coming together more in a way that makes more sense. So he's like pissed that he likes the other person. But also, I thought he was like, you like this other girl and you know that she's left the city and I thought that he was like, your girl's in trouble. I know that she's going to be in trouble. I'm going to go chase her down. Because I didn't think that he was pissed about her having feelings for the other priestess in that way. Mm-hmm. I thought he was like, and you just let her walk away. You're so stupid. He knows that she's in trouble because he knows the camp's bad. And even with this new information, I think he is like, you're stupid, but she is in trouble. The camp's bad. I have to go kill people.
Yes. I think he says something along the lines of like, you're a fool in more ways than one.
Yes.
Which is like, you're dumb for loving her. You're dumb for not loving the girl who loves you. And you're dumb for like just letting her go to the barrow. That's bad.
Yes.
Like she's going to the barrow. I got to stop that.
Yes.
So he leaves and we leave that sequence and check in with Smart Dev. Love this scene.
This is
so much.
This is a scene where I almost pulled the whole thing. It wasn't necessarily like poetic, but everything about it, of her being like this freaking bromance that immediately became like instantaneously. They are so connected. I'm learning more about both of them than I learned at all hanging out with them one-on-one. The frustration and the jealousy of being like, why couldn't this have been our rapport? but
Yeah.
also being like, I am interested in what you're saying, but also you're both so stupid is like, it's so good.
It's so good. It's like I hung out with him for so long, and then I hung out with him for so long, and neither time did either of these idiots ever open up to me. And 4 seconds into meeting each other, they're like, buddy, swing my sword. You gotta try my sword, dude. Oh yeah. Oh no, I'll try yours. This feels awesome.
What? Yeah, my sword. Oh yeah, my besties from college, they're like in it now.
Yeah.
We went to try.
Sick. What a cool place for them to be.
Oh my god. It's so good. Having that play out from Samar's perspective is genius. It's genius.
It feels so true to how life is, you know, where it's just, I just feel her frustration so authentically. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I love it. She's like, oh, I've learned more about these guys in the last day because they just won't stop talking to each other. Ugh.
And I think they're like both cool, so I like want to be here, but
yeah.
God.
Yeah, just insufferable buddying.
Insufferable buddying.
And there's some interesting, cool revelations for us as the readers as well, because we find out that, a traveler, is had this experience with this other dude that was really traumatic. We find out that we talk about Kellenved's lieutenants, these Nippon lieutenants that were all under sort of allegiance to Surly, who you would think when she became Lysine would like get rewarded for their loyalty, but instead they all scattered, and so that's kind of weird. I thought all that stuff was really interesting. And then Samar's like, or Samar, I guess is a better pronunciation, is like, hey, what about Dasim Ultor?
He was a guy too.
And Traveler's like, I don't know.
I think we all know that guy died. It's so funny because from her perspective of being like, Dasim is also one too, like just trying to find a way to be a part of the buddying in a way.
Yeah.
But she happens to pick the one name that that they'd be like, kind of, I guess. He's like definitely dead. But like for this reason that he's like, oh, my identity.
Yeah.
And that she's probably like, I can't even. He was definitely part of the group. We all, whatever, you guys, whatever.
Yeah, we all know that Dasim Ultor was there, and Traveler's like, no, he was killed in the Clone Wars by someone named Darth Vader. It's different. It's different. Completely different guy.
He's basically unimportant and nobody should ever say his name ever again. Anyway, Karsa. How many girls you get with?
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, hey, Karso, what happened after you killed Rulad? And Karso's like, all them Edar, they left. And Samar's like, that's exactly right. How did you know that? It's like, obvious witch. It's so good. So good. And Traveler's like, oh man, you are so cool. And Carson's like, no, you are cool. We are both cool. We are the coolest. Samar's like, both of you are idiots.
Just a couple.
And she's like, guess what he wants to do? Guess what your new best friend wants to do? He wants to literally kill all of civilization.
This is one of the parts I almost pulled as well. He's like, he literally wants to kill all civilization. So what do you think about that? And there's like a bunch of words, and there's kind of like what feels like a slow ellipses. And he goes, honestly, I've never liked cities. And he's like, exactly, dude, exactly.
It's so good. It's so good. Like nothing can break their bromance at all. It's just like.
Immediately subscribes to, let's kill all of society.
So good. So good. I delighted in that entire exchange. Okay. Then we head over back to the horror movie that's also taking place in this novel.
Wacky.
We are in a full-on horror film.
Yeah.
With Anamander and the folks in Bastion. Bastion it kind of reminds me, this is a video game reference, right? It reminds me of Half-Life 2, where Half-Life 2 is this like dystopian science fiction city. And then like for a couple of levels, you're in a horror movie. You go to Ravenholm, and it's like, oh, we're a horror movie. That's how this feels. It's like, oh, there's this horror movie happening in the middle of this novel with just a few characters.
Yep.
But it's very entertaining. So they're going through Bastion. They've decided let's get serious. Let's get our armor on. Let's get our swords out. It's bad. Yeah. And everybody's changing. Everybody's getting in the zone.
Yeah, and Calor's just gone. He like cut his way through, and he's there like, okay, bye, old man.
Yeah. Yep. So they decide we're gonna have to carry Clip through this, and we're gonna have to kill some priests. And they get attacked by Kellic drunk priests.
Well, aren't they also, as they're going through, don't they have casks of Kellic that they're sort of throwing out into the throngs of people? So when they tried to go in before, all the people are like, and they're like, okay, we're not supposed to be here. And then they have casks of Kellic, or they have Kellic that they're somehow throwing at them that is making them go swarm on the Kellic because they have this hunger and need for it that sort of gets them most of the way there. They get it, and it keeps being like, and now there's another door and another in the inner sanctum of this place. And they sort of make it to the main doors of this temple area and the altar, and are sort of immediately attacked from both sides. There's the priests on the inside and the other people outside sort of turn and are like, time. They sort of slowly advance, and they all are like sort of zombied out in a way with like little daggers and things. They're clearly not warriors, but they start having to divide and conquer a bit here.
And it's they're just slashing through these Kellic drunk crazed zombies, just like they're slashing them down.
They'd like kind of drop clips so that they could take care of the priest. Cuts to Desra's perspective being like, wow, Anamander really killed them so fast, so hot.
Yeah. I like how we get all of them, basically the different... Desra's like, this is awesome. I've never felt so turned on. Yeah. And Skin Tick is like, I want to literally cry right now.
Nananda's like,
just cackling. And Kedavis is like, I don't understand why that chick is...
We gotta talk about this later. That is the wrong reaction. Just straight up, we are killing hundreds of people who are basically defenseless and are clearly been like addicted to a substance against their will.
Yeah.
This is the wrong reaction. There's therapy.
That's on you. That's on you.
And then I always forget her name. I always want to say like anathema.
Aranatha.
Aranatha is just kind of like ding, like blank face. Like everybody else is like reacting in some way, and she's just like, we got to go that way. And
there's something going on with her. Oh, we're gonna talk about that in a second.
Absolument.
Yeah. Anyway, so Anamander is like, give me Clip. I'm gonna do this. The dying gods in here. Something's going on, and then he's like, "Oh, what?" And he hears a child singing. It's like tripping hard. Then we cut away. We cut away from the horror movie back to Sir Domen, who's walking toward the Great Barrow and gets smacked, knocked unconscious.
I was surprised that he was like snuck up on. I guess he was just so focused on his mish.
Yeah,
I thought that was strange. To me, it was almost like a godly intervention for the Redeemer to be like, you got to come talk with me now. That he would like,
interesting,
in the same way that the errant sort of lightly quieted that one dude's footsteps so he could sneak up on Troll.
Yeah,
like I did. Maybe he was just too in the zone, whatever it was. But I was surprised that he got clocked like instantaneously by people living out in the scrubland.
Yeah. Well, he does get clocked by Gratathan and Monkrat. They bring Sir Domen to the sacred tent, and Monkrat's like, "Hey, have you noticed that the dying god and the crippled god are sort of similar? I kind of sense a trend.
There's something about like just like trendy. A general nastiness of illness that seems to be good. The other thing that I think is interesting is they seem kind of like acolytes of this dying
Yeah.
god. They're like, we're so close now to rezzing him, killing him taking over the crippled god's power. Like, they keep talking about how close they are, but I don't actually know what they're close to.
Yeah, I don't know what their plan is with the dying god. We find out later that the dying god has been like manipulating the people, and I think using the Kellic to do that.
Yeah.
So maybe they're just wrong. Maybe they're just under false pretenses because they're being manipulated.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
But even then,
anyway,
we'll get there.
Yeah, Grathathan's whole thing is like more people need to drink the Kellic, basically. Like,
and they also know more people need to die. So more people need to drink the Kellic. They drink the Kellic. It eventually poisons them and pours back out of them, back into the dying god to reuse it and then spit it into somebody else. This gross ecosystem.
Yeah, yucky. But then we're Sir Domen is knocked unconscious, but he's having this moment where he sees the Redeemer. It's Itkovian.
Yeah.
Itkovian is like, hey, Seg de Travos. And Sir Domen's like, nobody calls me Travis anymore. They are sort of in this ethereal space that is the barrow. It's got coins on the ground.
So cool. Inside the barrow, it's just all the coins, like a rare few of gold, because like the people who would have put the money there, they couldn't afford it.
I know.
So cool.
Yeah. Yep. Itkovian's like, yeah, you're right about me. I'm like addicted to people suffering. Just doesn't say good things about me.
Mm-hmm.
Also, you failed to save Celind, and now you're going to have to fight her. So, sucks for you.
Mm-hmm. Big bummer. Also, she has so many arms now.
So many arms.
It's way harder now.
Rad, where she's dancing and she's like, and her arms get all blurry.
Yeah.
So sick. So cool. And he's like, that great line where he says something like, she wants answers, and what hurts a god more than a follower who wants answers? It's like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kovian's like, hey man, I don't deserve it, but are you gonna like defend me or anything? I mean, don't.
We're
totally understand if you don't.
We're kind of buddies, but I would really love it if you stopped her.
Yeah. And then Spinock wakes up and looks up and sees Anamander like, hey, you gotta leave, Spinock. And Spinock, and he's like, hey, why do you look so sad? And he's like, no reason. He knows if he says he's in love, then Anamander would be like, go to her. Go to her.
And here's my question. I'm like, would Anamander, or is that like his headcanon? He's like, if I told him that I loved her, Anamander would say, wait, stop everything. Run, find her.
You must go to, you got to kiss the girl.
Yeah.
You got to, yeah.
Turns into a lobster.
That's right.
Or a crab. I guess he's a crab. He's a crab. He goes,
is he a crab?
Well,
Yeah.
he's red. So I'm like, lobster. Crabs are red too. But he goes into his shell sometimes. Like a turtle? He's not a lobster.
All this and more on our Little Mermaid podcast.
What are they? Where are they now?
Why would they be singing?
He's flounder, but is he a flounder?
Are the other fish named carp? What is it, just named what they are? All right, so then we're back to Bastion. They are getting closer to the altar. Skin Tick is like, oh, this Kellic, should I drink it? Should I fall in love with Kellic and be one of the Kellic? No, I won't. And then he hears a child's voice.
I also want to just say that this just sort of struck me. Kellic is like nasty. Spinock and Sir Domen playing cards in the bar, and people are just buying Kellic at the bar. Like, that's like so funny that how casually that would just be like, oh, and we also have this fine vintage of god blood. Anyway, they're at this in this horror movie
Yeah, it's
where
like-
it's like the spawn of the drink that is sold at the local tavern. And
Like, do you want beer? We have ale. We have heroin. Whatever you want.
exactly.
It's kind of like that.
That is what it. Yes, that's the vibe.
It's like there's a whole lot of people doing heroin in this bar. But you know what? Let's just play some Warhammer 40K and ignore it. Anyway, so Anamander, he's tripping hard too. He passes through this storm in his head, through this gauze thin cloth.
He felt something
And-
tear as he stepped through, and it was
Yeah.
like a tear in his mind, like some kind of fabric of reality, and then he's sort of transported.
He's in it. He's in the last room of the haunted house.
Yes. Oh, he went through those shredded garbage bags,
Yes.
and it's
Oh.
spooky back here.
He's in the doll room with all the hundreds of hanging dolls. Creeperland.
Uh-huh.
And the dying god is in there talking in this crazy voice. And Namander's like, show yourself. And the dying god's like, I was on the floor of the abyss. There was all the gods and goddesses there, kings and heroes and queens and everybody.
And he's like, oh, it's one of these thousands of freaky dolls.
Yeah.
And he just starts like stabbing them. And then whatever her name is, Anamander.
Anathema? What is her name?
It's not anathema.
I know. I keep getting it wrong. Aranatha.
Aranatha shows up and is like, I know what to do here. We just gotta beckon him. And he's like,
Yeah.
you can just, okay, Steve?
Yeah. You gotta know his
Carl?
name. And he's like, guess what? I know his name. Aranatha's like, his name is Bellerdan Skull Crusher. Meow, 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 meow. Ah, book 1 name. Gardens of the Moon name.
Yeah. So
Baby.
as soon as it was like all these, all the dolls, it was very satisfying to immediately see like, oh, you hung out with Hairlock, and I'm like, oh yeah, oh, it's coming together, baby.
Yeah.
It's coming together.
I mean, yes, but also I'm not sure exactly how it came together.
Well, just the fact that there's dolls there.
Yeah, no, I agree. And it was awesome. I'm like, oh my gosh, these characters are kind of folded back in and relevant again. And so the dying god is Bellerdan Skullcrusher.
Who I thought was a nice guy. He's like, oh, it sucks that I have to go kill Tattersail in my
Right.
recollection. But he didn't like
Well,
really
and-
want to.
Was one of the souls in Tattersail, right?
Yes.
So
Well,
the idea
yeah.
being that she ejected this soul, and that is why he is in this situation.
Yeah, because it was like the Silver Fox being this like amalgam of a bunch of different powerful beings together.
Yeah.
And being this like little godling in her own right, ejecting one of the personalities, it kind of makes sense that it would be like, and I still have goddish powers.
Right.
And now, like, but that idea of dying and like the dying god of like, it's almost more like god of rejection embodiment or something of like, oh, you're so angry that you were rejected from like being the god bod.
Yeah.
That now you're like in pieces, and these pieces of dolls are all representative of like you being hung on your own spike in there and being a freaky beast.
Well, he says he like met Hairlock in the abyss and was like, hey, it worked out for you to be a puppet. Can you teach me how to do that?
Oh yeah.
Which is interesting. And we also know that my little cheat sheet here reminds me that Taishran called Bellerdan's attack on Tattersail the biggest foul up in Malazan history. So he's always been sort of a big problem.
Yep.
Anyway, I was surprised to see them come back, but I thought it was a cool callback.
We've had lots of little Gardens of the Moon callbacks, so
Totally.
I think it's
Totally.
it's cool.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm
so
just like, where'd Tattersail at? Who's next?
I know. I want to see Silver Fox back up in here. So Skin Tick drags Clip out. Clip is like coming to. I guess his soul is back in his body because we sort of defeated Bellerdan. And everybody kind of emerges like soaked in blood. Everybody's been fighting Ketavis and Anandal back. They've murdered a whole bunch of people. And
They
Clip
just have the doll.
Yeah.
They didn't like destroy it. They just have it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing I think is interesting.
And it's all messed up. Like it has a burned face and like no legs and stuff, right? It's all messed up.
Well, he was caught in basically that like explosion, right? Like when they merged, it was, I imagine it's like some of the damage from that being manifest on this doll.
And I love how they're like, oh, we went through all this hell, this horror, all for Clip. And Clip's like, oh, God, hey, oh, come on. Why are you guys all so dirty? I hate all of you morons.
All of that for this little jerk.
Just
to be like, why do you all look like trash? Oh, honestly, disgusting. Can we get on the road, please?
Yeah.
Bye.
Why do I even hang out with you morons?
Losers, yeah.
It's so great. They're like, all right, we saved him. He's like, I'm like, oh God. So funny.
But who will save us?
Meanwhile, Salind is messing Sir Domen up, stabs him, ready to kill him, standing over him, ready to murder him, and then abruptly turns and walks away.
Yeah.
And Itkovian says, I had help. From what? Who?
I assumed that it was the people stopping, because to me, Salind seemed to be like being driven by the Kellic and driven by these people. And so
them defeating the dying god did it?
Yeah, that was my impression.
I did not get that, but that makes total sense.
Yeah. And like they were like little fight sequence of Sir Domen just being like, please stop. I don't even know how to get in past your many, many arms and weapons, and him being just bludgeoned by like a mace and a dagger and a sword and a whatever, like very cool feeling thing. And then when she does like end up sort of like slicing and dicing him, he's like, there is no pain in this little space, at least, so I just have to be here kind of being like ting ting, and like I hope my body holds out long enough to not die.
Yeah.
And he does, but we don't really know what is.
No, I think he does die.
Does he?
Well, I think what happens is Itkovian is like, hey, you know what would be great is if you like hung out with me and talked.
But he doesn't die from her stabbing him.
No, but I think that it's then him going, okay, I will. And in order to talk with Itkovian, he has to be dead.
Yeah, he's hanging in the barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happens. And Salind, Grethethen and Monkrat are like, I don't know why he died. And they're like, well, let's go get some more Kellic. And Salind's like, Kellic? Did somebody say Kellic? And Scrooby Snacks?
Yeah. And that was the part where they're like, oh, we were so close. And I was like, close to what?
Yeah, right.
I don't know. Maybe I should, but I don't.
So then we pop over to Anamander and Solana, who are just standing stoically watching. And Solana's like, should I do something? And Anamander's like, not yet. No,
I think that he was going to let her go, but because he could sense somehow in the world that those people were going to stop the dying god, he like reined her in, as far as I could tell. He's like waiting for the right moment to strike. Yeah.
But he knows that Spinock is leaving. He's on a boat. And that Endist Salon has a difficult task ahead of him. So we'll see what that's all about. And then we have a little scene with Calor. I love our scenes with Calor. Mm-hmm. He's just walking, moping. He understands that the dying god was Bellerdan. He's like, oh, Night Chill's lover.
Gross.
And he is headed toward a throne that he thinks he deserves. Mm-hmm. And it says, I will destroy empire. I will destroy civilization. And I keep thinking like, boy, the goals of Calor and Karsa Orlong are oddly parallel.
And Ecovian and Traveler, we got like a bunch of people
Yeah.
subscribing to the Kill the World.
Yeah.
And he straight up is like, oh, there's another friggin' convergence happening. And I'm like,
Yeah.
world enders. Very
Yeah.
interesting.
Couple of great chapters. I
Mhm.
really enjoyed both, and specifically chapter 11, just so great. And man, this book is just clicking on all cylinders for me. So fun.
Massively agree. Agree.
All right. I have 3 sections that I would like to read, but I know that yours is like right from the beginning of this.
Mine is right from the beginning. I have 2. They're like back to back, and they're both quite long. So if you want to
Okay.
hit us with a little guy.
All right, I can do this is this is that thing I mentioned about Torvald and marital bliss.
Yes.
Terrible indeed a wife's disappointment and, mayhap, disgust. The princely wages were without relevance. The flexible shifts could barely earn a begrudging nod. The sheer impressive legality of the thing yielded little more than a sour grunt. And even the fact that Torvald Nom now held the title of captain of the house guard, while Scorch and Lef were but underlings among a menagerie of underlings, yes, he had exaggerated somewhat, had but granted him a temporary abeyance of the shrill fury he clearly deserved. And it waited. Oh, it waited. He knew it. She knew it. And he knew she was holding on to it like a giant axe poised above his acorn of a head. Yes, he'd given up slavery for this. Such was the power of love, the lure of domestic tranquility, and the fending off of lonely solitude. Would he have it any other way? Ask him later.
Aw. Yeah.
So good.
I love it. I love it.
It's like, dude, this is a great job. I got flexible hours,
Checks
great
every
pay,
box.
sick title. None of that means anything to you? So good. So good.
So good. So my first section is the epigraph from chapter 11. Who are you to judge whether she is old or young, and if she is lifting the bucket or lowering it down into this well? And is she pretty or plain as undyed linen? Is she a sail riding the summer wind, bright as a maiden's eye above waves of blue? Does her walk sway in pleasure and promise, of bracing dreams as if the earth could sing, fertile as joyous butterflies in a flowered field? Or has this saddle stretched slack in cascades of ripe fruit and rides no more through blossomed orchards? Who then are you to cage in presumptuous iron the very mystery that calls us to life, where hovers the brimming bucket ever poised between dark depths and coral sunlight? She is beauty. And this too is a criminal exhortation, and nothing worthwhile is to be found in your regard that does little more than stretch this frayed rope. So shame. Dismissal delivers vicious wounds, and she walks away, or walks too with inner cringing. Dare not speak of fairness, dare not indulge cruel judgment when I sit here watching, and all the calculations between blinks invite the multitude to heavy scorn, and see that dwindling sail passing forever beyond you, as is her privilege there on the sea of flowers, all sweet fragrance swirling in her wake. It will never, ever reach you. And this is balance. This is measure. This is the observance of strangers who hide their tears when turning away.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Poetry.
Beautiful poetry.
Speaking of poetry, my section, this next one is rather long as well. And it's Crup. And this is him walking through Darujistan. Crup of Darujistan walked the great avenue of sordid acquisitiveness, casting a most enormous, indeed gigantic shadow that rolled sure as a tide past all these shops and their wares, past the wary eyes of shop owners, past the stands of fruit and succulent pastries, past the baskets of berries and the dried fish and the strange leafy things some people ate, believing themselves to be masticators of wholesomeness, past the loaves of bread and rounds of cheese, past the vessels of wine and liquors in all assorted sizes, past the weavers and dressmakers, past the crone harpist with nubs for fingers and only 3 strings left on her harp, and her song about the peg and the hole and the honey on the nightstand, ducking the flung coins and so quickly past, and the bolts of cloth going nowhere, and the breeches blocking the doorway, and the shirts for men-at-arms, and shoes for the soulless, and the headstone makers, and the urn pissers, and the old thrice-divorced man who tied knots for a living with a gaggle of children in tow, surely bound by blood and thicker stuff, past the wax drippers and wax twisters, the fire eaters and ash cake makers, past the prostitutes, oozing with each languorous step with smiles of appreciation and fingers all aflutter and unbidden mysterious sensations of caresses in hidden or at least out of reach places, and see eyes widen and appreciation flood through like the rush of lost youth and princely dreams, and they sigh and call out Crup. You darling man, Crup, ain't you gonna pay for that? Crup, marry each one of us and make us honest women. Crup, rushing quickly past. Now, frightening prospect to imagine. A bludgeon of wives? Surely that must be the plural assignation. A prattle of prostitutes.
I love that section. Oh, I love that section. If I hadn't already highlighted a giant Krupp section, that was easily the next one on my list. A bludgeon of wives.
Bludgeon of wives has got to be the plural form of wives. A bludgeon of wives.
On.
A prattle of prostitutes.
Ooh.
That is genius. There's no better bludgeon of wives. That is just unbelievably brilliant. I cannot get over it.
It's so funny and so laced with like the character that feels that way, that brings that forward, that if that's their idea and like how resonant it also ends up feeling for just like I get it, the old ball and chain. They got a bunch of them. Oh, that's a bludgeon, baby. You know,
it's
got
so
the
good.
vibes.
His like stream of consciousness, like, oh, that's great. Oh, look, yummy that. And like you could just feel him walking down the street. Ooh, yummy that. Oh, ick, people eat that stuff. I'm not wasting their time with that. Oh, look at that guy doing those things. Look at those. Oh, look at the prostitutes. Oh, look at they're coming over this way. Just like it's just so evocative and textured and amazing. I am in awe. Truly in awe of it.
So good.
So good.
My next section, also a little long, is the first 2 paragraphs, basically. First chunk of the first chapter 11 that we just read. No purer artist exists or has ever existed than a child freed to imagine. This scattering of sticks in the dust that any adult might kick through without a moment's thought is in truth the bones of a vast world, clothed, fleshed, a fortress, a forest, a great wall against which terrible hordes surge and are thrown back by a handful of grim heroes. A nest for dragons, and these shiny, smooth pebbles are their eggs, each one home to a furious, glorious future. No creation was ever raised as fulfilled, as brimming, as joyously triumphant. And all the machinations and manipulations of adults are the ghostly recollections of childhood and its wonders. The awkward mating to cogent function, reasonable purpose, and each facade has a tale to recount. A legend to behold in stylized propriety. Statues and alcoves fix somber expressions, indifferent to every passerby. Regimentation rules these creaking, stiff minds so settled in habit and fear. To drive children into labor is to slaughter artists, to scour deathly all wonder, the flickering dart of imagination, eager as finches flitting from branch to branch, all crushed to serve grown-up needs and heartless expectations. The adult who demands such a thing is dead inside, devoid of nostalgia's bright dancing colors, so smooth, so delicious, so replete with longing both sweet and bitter. Dead inside, yes, and dead outside too. Corpses in motion, cold with the resentment and the undead bear towards all things still alive, all things still warm, still breathing. Pity these ones? Nay, never. Never so long as they drive on hordes of children into grisly labor, then sup languid of air upon the myriad rewards. Dare this round self descend into hard judgment? This round self does dare. A world built of a handful of sticks can start tears in the eyes as the artist on hands and knees sings a score of wordless songs, speaks in 100 voices, and moves unseen figures across the vast panorama of the mind's canvas, pausing but once to wipe nose on sleeve. He does so dare this, and would hasten the demise of such cruel abuse. Even a serpent has grandiose designs, yet must slither in minute increments, struggling for distances a giant or god would scorn. Tongue flicking for the scent, this way and that. Salvation is the succulent fruit at hunt's end, and the sun-warmed bird's egg, the soft, cuddly rat trapped in the jaws. So searches the serpent, friend to the righteous. So slides the eel through the world's stirred muck, whiskers a probing. Soon, one hopes. Soon.
Well, it's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievably good.
Yeah. I also didn't notice the eel shout out the first time I read it.
Yeah.
And so.
Yeah, it's so good. And just the notion that every kid's an artist. Every child is born an artist, and you just crush that. And how dare you? I will not pity you for doing that. You don't deserve it.
Yeah.
To steal that away.
Yeah.
All right, one last quick one. I think this is so prescient, so relevant to what is happening in our world right now. The first law of the multitude is conformity. Civilization is the mechanism of controlling and maintaining that multitude. The more civilized a nation, the more conformed its population, until that civilization's last age arrives, when multiplicity wages war with conformity. The former grows ever wilder, ever more dysfunctional in its extremities, whilst the latter seeks to increase its measure of control, until such efforts acquire diabolical tyranny.
Mm-hmm.
There's a multiplicity. There's diversity that is pushing out at its extremes, trying to express itself in the most diverse ways. And there's conformity and control. And those things are at odds. And the extremity of diversity forces the means of control to move into tyranny.
Yeah.
If that is not America 2025,
yeah,
I don't know what is.
Yep.
Perfectly expressed.
Yeah.
Oh, book good.
Book good.
Thank you for being with us again. Apologies. No episode next week, but we will be back with chapters 13 and 14 the following week. Thank you for bearing with us as I take my children somewhere. I don't even know where we're going. No, I do. Hopefully they have a good time. We'll see. In the meantime, hopefully you stay dancing. That's the most important part, despite everything that's going on.
When the world's too dark of a place to be, and you need an escape from reality, open up those pages, it's sci-fi or fantasy, whatever genre you please. And join a book club, 'cause you won't read it on your own. Join a book club, so you'll be held accountable. It's just a means to an end, but you're doing it